The brand new character coming to Genshin 4.5 is Chiori, and despite having one of my favorite designs in the game, she's unfortunately a character that I am not as excited as I wish I was. I think it's definitely possible that she is an upgrade for some of my favorite teams, but I don't know that she'll be a super valuable full pull for a lot of players. However, she does look like she could be pretty strong, and there definitely are some accounts that would very much benefit from her, and I think she will likely be a very strong character overall, but I'm still skeptical, so I'm of two minds. Let's talk about why. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. I do really want to talk about her design. Inazuman designs are my absolute favorite. I am a massive weeb, I guess the kids would call it, and the sword is by far my favorite element, both in the way they look and how they play. Love sword characters, and she looks super hot. All of my chat has decided also she looks like my wife, like my real life wife, and so that probably factors into why I like her design so much. So just know that when I say that I'm concerned for her kit, this is not coming from a place of bias. This is also not a bias against Geo. Like one of my very favorite DPSs is Navia. Navia is my second favorite DPS. So and they're showing a lot of Navia with Chiori. I would be surprised, I guess we'll open with this. Let's first talk about what characters and what teams I think that she'll for sure be an upgrade for, maybe be an upgrade for. Then let's talk about her sort of pros and cons. Well, let's start with her kit, actually, and then we'll do the stuff I just said. So for her kit, the main part of her kit seems to be her elemental skill. So she's got, those basic normal attacks, and she dual wields her sword. It's too bad she doesn't hold her new sword twice, or just hold the other sword, and she like dual wields like Alhaitham, but they kind of don't really match, so that's kind of weird, but whatever. By tapping her elemental skill button, Chiori dashes forward and sweeps her blade upwards. At the same time, Chiori will summon the automaton doll Tomato and attack together, dealing damage to opponents based on her attack and defense. Hold the elemental skill button to adjust the dash direction, so it's basically like a Kaching or an Alhaitham. While Tomato is active, geoconstructs exist. When geoconstructs exist or create nearby, Chiori will summon an additional Tomato onto the field. So the cool thing about Tomato is that it synergizes with geoconstructs, and I know other creators have talked about how cool it is when especially for Geo, because Geo Construct is sort of an identity that Geo has. A lot of characters summon Geo Construct, so for her to reward you for having a Geo Construct is good. This means that if they're we just have to look at the facts, right? She is a skill-based damage dealer. They haven't talked about any sort of buffing or anything, so it seems like she's mostly a damage dealer. And so she's mostly going to be off field. They've talked about how she's attack and defense scaling, and she does an additional damage when there's a Geo Construct. So to me, this screams upgrade for Ito. And so I think that first of all, Ito is going to be a character that gets a nice upgrade. Like, you can consider getting Chiori for your Ito. I will be doing an Ito guide after Chiori comes out, because I don't have Ito yet. So I'll be summoning him on day 1. I'll also be getting Albedo. I'll have them fully farmed. I'll level Ito to 90 on day 1, and I'll build all these characters. I'll test them out, and my Ito guide will come out a couple days after. So But I think that Ito is the easiest, right? I think it's the easiest to talk about because it'll almost definitely be an upgrade. Everything in her kit says, I'm an Ito upgrade. So I think if you're an Ito main, you can rest assured knowing that this will be a good pull for you. I think the bigger question is us Navia mains. So is she going to be an upgrade to Navia, knowing that you're not going to get that additional bonus from having the Geo Construct? Let's read her next part. After unlocking the talent Tailor Made, Chiori will gain different effects depending on the next action you take within a short duration after using her elemental skill's upward sweep. Tapping the elemental skill button switches to the next character in your roster, which is a really interesting ability. They show it here, how she goes into the air and switches to Navi or something like that. I think that's what it showed, but it was really, really cool. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, that's really, really a nifty, thrifty thing. That just makes like fluid gameplay really cool. So I wonder how we can use that. Like maybe if you're exploring, you can switch that into Kazuha and then get a bit of extra vertical. That's pretty neat. You'll want to make sure you have her in your rotation in the right order so that the next character you want to go to is right there. Anyways, when your active party members' normal charge and plunging attacks hit an opponent, the automaton doll will execute a coordinated attack. Tapping the normal attack button will cause Chiori to gain a Gyu infusion. Interesting. So you can either do on-field Chiori or give an additional coordinated attack. I think, to be honest, the coordinated attack is probably going to be much stronger, but I guess it is kind of cool. We will definitely be doing doing a DPS Chiori guide. Well, it'd be a big part of our guide. So if you're really wanting to make DPS Chiori a thing, well, I got you covered. Make sure to subscribe for that and subscribe for the Navia stuff. And also, like, I think that this has potential for other characters. Like, this should be a Ningguang buff. Like, if you want to be on fielding Ningguang, this should be really good for her because Ningguang also summons a Geo Construct. So that's really neat. Yeah, switches to Navia, does a plunging attack. And the cool thing about switching into the air like that is you actually get a good amount of damage from plunging attacks, although that won't be Navia's infused plunging attack because she hasn't used her skill yet. So anyways, there's her burst. So her burst has an amazing animation, but I think from what I can see here, they don't even really talk about her burst, do they? I think it just does damage, at least as far as we know. She does have this interesting passive, which if your character is wearing a different outfit or a different wind glider, then you'll get a movement speed boost, which I can't actually, that doesn't look like a very big movement speed increase. They look like they're almost running the same speed. But anyways, that's pretty nifty that she's like a solid character for exploration. She has a couple nice exploration passives. So this is interesting. So she is going to be, they've talked about an attack and defense scaler. So a lot of people have the misconception that they think that this means she's split scaling, but this is actually what's called dual scaling. Split in Genshin anyways. In other games it's different, but in Genshin, split scaling refers to when two different abilities require two different stats to max out. So Xinyan needs defense to max out some parts of her kit and attack to max out other parts of her kit. So by investing into one or the other, you're necessarily losing out on one or the other. But dual scaling is someone like Alhaitham, where all of his kit scales off of both attack and elemental mastery. So whichever one you're boosting boosts him. Now he does get more from elemental mastery, but he still gets some from attack. So that's dual scaling. So Chiori is dual scaling defense and attack. So nothing wrong with that. That's no cause for alarm. But I think it does beg the question, how much synergy does she have with like a character like Goro, with characters like Bennett? What is sort of going to be the optimal way to play here? I have a feeling that it's going to be defense, right? And based on other people who have made guides already, they seem to already know a lot about what's going on with this kit. So if you get your Chiori and you're trying to give her a weapon, defense weapons, like obviously her signature is going to be defense or the Cinnabar Spindle. I gotta level this up now. We're almost done with building every character. We're getting close. But anyways, Cinnabar Spindle, but also crit weapons like Primordial Jadewing Cutter is going to be good. Harbinger of Dawn just gives a ridiculous amount of stats, so that's going to be really good. So I think she's going to have some solid free-to-play options, as well as some solid 5-star options. It'll be interesting to see how much better her signature is. I probably will go for it because, like I said, she's one of my favoritely designed characters, but I don't think that she'll need her weapon as much as some other characters, like not need her weapon, but get benefit from her weapon, like Novelette or something like that benefits a lot more. If she indeed does mostly skill damage, it depends on how big of a burst is part of her damage for her artifact set. And that'll determine how much better, the Husk of Opulent Dream set is versus the Golden Troop set. I think the Golden Troop set is so strong, it's probably going to be a really good option, but the Husk set really does give a lot of boosts to this type of character. But I'll definitely be doing a comparison for my day one showcase and compiling all the calculations that we have. So what else? Versus Albedo. I don't think that there's a way that they release a character that's similar to Albedo but worse. Like, I just don't see that. If that happens, then I will be shocked. I will actually be unbelievably shocked, but I just don't see it because he is one of the weaker standard banner characters. Like, yes, he's not awful, but he really has only one great team, and that's on Ito, and he's sort of the weaker, I mean, not necessarily the weaker link to the team. It's hard to say. Like, I would have really liked to see a change to how Geo Constructs work. Like, maybe they can't be destroyed, or it's more difficult to have them be destroyed, or they give a buff to the crystallized reaction. I would have liked to see that because I think that it'd be nice for Albedo to get some of that. But I think with Albedo going to the Chronicled Wish banner and Chiori being a new limited 5-star that seems to do similar things and working perfectly with Ito, I just see her being an Albedo replacement. I do see some potential for them to work together, here, but Albedo really does want Goro to do max damage. Like, Goro is like a huge buff for Albedo, and then if you've got Albedo and Goro and Chiori, like, that pretty much leaves you with Ito, and it's gonna be, that's a tough team because you don't have a defensive utility. You don't even have a character that can create crystallized shards. So I see that I see Albedo being the unit that gets dropped in these teams. I think maybe like Chiori, Albedo, Goro, Noelle, but then you're losing Farina, so that seems kind of rough. And then it's like maybe it's Albedo, Chiori, Goro, Ningguang, but then again you're still not having that defensive utility. So I'm just not confident. I see the it's kind of just weird to me. Maybe if she had enough healing that together with Goro, they could also use Farina. There could be something there. Maybe on-field Chiori with Albedo as a sub DPS and then Goro and Zhongli. That sounds like something. I'll definitely try that. I think that it will be like, but I do think that Chiori plus Zhongli, I'm guessing that this will be a pretty decent core. Like, I think that this is something I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, but assuming that she is better Albedo, like, remember, you know, Duo Geo was a common thing, and I think Chiori plus Zhongli, because he creates a construct and he will bring out a lot of the potential that Chiori has. So I could see, you know, it being competitive with, you know, the Xingqiu Yelan double Hydro core, just running like just Yelan, but then you're losing Hydro Resonance. Maybe for Yoimiya, it'd be a bigger buff. I'll definitely be testing all this. Trust me, I really want Chiori to be awesome, but I'm worried that, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe her numbers will just be cracked and she'll just be an upgrade. It'll be like Chiori Zhongli will just be a new amazing double Geo core, but I'm just not necessarily expecting that. For me personally, if she's, you know, if she feels like a decent upgrade in Navia teams, particularly Plunge Navia, I think she has the most potential in, because losing out on Zhongli's shield is the least big deal, but then you're losing the shred for Navia. So she has to, if you're replacing Zhongli in Navia teams, she has to do enough damage to not only outpace Zhongli, but make up for the damage that Zhongli is letting Navia do. So like, it's kind of like the more invested your Navia is, the worse of an upgrade Chiori will be, unless you also invest into Chiori, because it doesn't seem like she does any buffing. So I'm a little bit concerned that she won't be the best pull, and that makes me sad because I love her design so much. But, you know, not every character can be a meta pull, and as long as, and if she is, you know, I'll be testing her a lot. I'll be doing my usual, you know, million teams guide with Chiori, day one guide, so make sure to subscribe for that. And if she is a skip, hey, if she's an easy skip, then you can just get your Novelette or Kazuha or, you know, Novelette weapon or C1 without feeling guilty. So that's great. But for all us Chiori wanters, for our sakes, I hope that she is better than I think that she'll be. But I'm excited to get her regardless, right? Like, just because I don't think she's going to be top meta, I'm really excited. I love her design, so I'm excited. Let me know what you think. Take care. Bye for now.